back again. Yeah. Um, Kind of cold outside today. Here in Zone 7B. It's definitely cold. I can feel it. Um, it it shows on my cell phone that it's like 57 degrees, I think it is, but it feels a lot colder than that. So um, I'm just waiting on all the leaves on my trees to drop. Once the leaves on my trees drop, then I can get on with some much needed pruning. Thank you for the thumbs up. Get the trees pruned back so that next year I have a better chance of producing more pears for one. My pear tree did one single pear this year, and I was always curious about that. Why would that happen? I think it had something to do with cross pollination. I planted well, I had a tree planted to it next to it many years ago from a company that didn't do a very good job. They sent me a tree that's a pear, but it was an ornamental pear, and it helped that tree produce. Um, but when I took it out uh, to plant an actual pear tree next to it, which is it's called a sweet something. I bought it from Stock Brothers, and the tree is growing, but it was still young, and so it's at the point where it may produce some blossoms this year. If it does, then it'll have a tree to cross with. Um, so that being said, the cherry trees I have to clean those up because I had some vines that got into the trees. So I want to make sure they're nice and cleaned up. And that's the name of that game. Um, so the apple trees. I'm getting spurs on the young apple trees that I have. I'm getting much needed spurs. They're there, so that's going to be very good for the apple trees. And I just feel good about the trees, and I feel good about the way the weather's going right now. What kind of weather we have next year? Um, the way the weather's been going in the gardens this year, it has been surprising people. We this year in some areas. Tell me what you think in your area. Oh, hi. Um, we had a ton of rain this year. There was no need to do anything with the rain barrel much this year. I filled up a container where we had uh, we made the fertilizer, but other than that, there was nothing else to do with uh, you know, dealing with, using it to water plants. The the thing about it is that the weather has been shocking each year, totally throwing people off. That garden especially. My situation is, like I said, we had a lot of rain, and then it stayed cold so long up until the time when you're supposed to be putting things in the ground. It just did not. Uh, it did not have a chance to, to get. I had to hold my plants for another almost 2 months. It felt like, well, a month and a half, close to 2 months, and that was really tough to do because they were already adult plants. So let's see, we had a lot of rain here in New Jersey too this year. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something going on with the weather. Some of the plants that are on the wet soil. Did I lose any plants due to wet soil? Maybe I did. I don't. Uh, yeah, I think I may have lost a few, but the peppers held on. The tomatoes definitely held on. They just, but they did the little splitting thing once. They would grow the tomatoes and get some sun, and then it would have like a lot of rain, and then they would just pop open, and that's no good. Um, that was a lot of rain, and my fruit trees shot up to 20 feet tall, and that was strange because they sell them to you. They say 8 to 10 feet, but it depends on the environment, and really, a dwarf tree is a dwarf depending on how what you consider a dwarf. Um, these trees really can get big if you just leave them alone and you have them in beautiful soil and you have them get in all the right, planted in the right place, the right temperatures and everything. They can put on some size. People tell you they're 8, 9 feet, 8, 10 feet. They're selling the plant. They're just selling the plant. They have to keep the sales going. They're not going to tell you that, if you got a tiny little yard, that this tree's going to get 20 feet tall. I mean, possibly could get 20 feet tall. Yeah, yeah. It's I went out and saw. Yeah, I had to cut back on the my trees as well. Here's something I want to tell you though, especially with cherry trees. Let's say you go out there and you take a cherry tree and you really prune that cherry tree back. I mean, really lay into it. That cherry tree is going to produce so many new branches. It's going to be entangled in itself. Did that before. You could, with cherry trees especially, you can take a little off at a time and keep coming at it and taking it off, taking it off. But if you do it all at once, that tree is going to rebel by saying, send out every shoot from every little angle you can. We need branches. And that's what it's going to do. I had two of them, different species, to do the exact same thing when I cut them back, real hard. Uh, Other trees will do that as well, like peach trees. They'll do the same thing. They'll send out all these little water spurs everywhere. They'll send them up. They'll send them up. Sprouts, they call them water sprouts. They will send those sprouts up every single way they can. Uh, Not to teach you a lesson, but to definitely make sure that they survive. And you will be cutting back sprouts for days, trying to get some kind of uh, angle on what branches you should keep and which ones you shouldn't keep. They will send out a ton of branches. My plants that are outside now, they are spinach, collard greens, and kale, growing beautifully. And it has dropped down some nights here, but those plants are very adaptable to very cool weather, especially the spinach that I purchased, which is known to survive in very cold places. So I think what I'm going to do, depending on how it does this year, is I'm going to keep using that particular type of spinach because the ones I buy in the seed packs in the stores, they don't do very well here. I've had them grow a little and then just die off, or they would grow a tiny bit and you put down quite a few seeds, but it would only produce 3 or 4 plants, and then they would go straight to bolt, and it was just these are not like that. They slow to bolt. They love it when it's cold, so you can put them in early spring, and you could put them in also in the fall. They call them, I can't remember the other name, but they're giant something. And I bought the seeds on eBay. I don't know which seller, but I bought them on eBay. And they call them giant. It's a beautiful, give me the L, giant L something spinach. And I bought them, and I'm happy about that. Yeah, that's it. Wait a minute. Well, begins with an N. Sorry about that. But the thing about it is, I think I'm gonna like this spinach. You know, another thing I purchased off of eBay was a tree kale seeds. Those things are crazy. I mean, I planted only one outside so far, and they did very well, I must say. The huge leaves, huge leaves. They make you want to grow them. Um, yeah, yeah, they do make you want to grow them because I mean, they're huge, they're pretty, and it's just they call it tree kale and um, thick branches, big leaves. I don't know how they're going to taste, but I plan on putting quite a few in in the spring. In the spring. Okay, now I want to ask you something about this Tai Nursery. I want to ask you a question about, have you ordered there from them before? Been hearing some things about them. I just want to know, what do you think? Have you been ordering before? Is this, how many times you've ordered from them? Because I've been hearing some things about Tai Nursery, and that's the only reason why I never ordered from them. Because I mean, when you go online and you look up what they call it, when you look up the situation with the dealing with these nurseries, as far as their how customers have felt about them. I went and Googled the and I Googled the one I was with. The one I was with before was horrible, absolutely horrible. Can't remember the name. I think it's called USA Nursery or something like that. Oh my God, reviews. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I'm working too many hours. Um, but the thing about it is, the tie also had a lot of bad reviews. They're talking about some things, and I don't know, but I do know that the one I was with, USA Nursery, was one, and but there were two companies, but you could call different numbers and you get the same people, or yeah, yeah. It was basically the same company because the plants were the same. We looked at their page, the plant was identical, and then they had the prices were identical. And I said, wait, but these are the same company. And they would send you out numerous times the wrong trees. They would send you trees that were so small that you would say, what is this? It was under the size of a pencil. And they would send that to you. It would be like 12 inches long or something like that. And it was one root from it or two roots, and it would be dried up, and then you would tell them, and they would say, just stick it in the soil and see what it does. And you would stick this thing in the soil, and sometimes it would survive. But when it would survive, you'll see it growing, and then you'll look at it. And you say, what is this? And it's growing thorns, and it's growing thorns, and now the plant is purple. It went from green to purple. So I'm thinking, what is this? So I went online, I looked up the tree, and found out what they sold me was an ornamental plum tree. It was not meant to. They said, no, no, no. Let me get it. They said may produce plums at times. That's what the word was out on that. So I don't know why they sold it to me as a fruit producing tree. Has anyone here ever noted that some pear trees will grow thorns? Has anyone ever noticed that? Some pear trees will grow thorns. Okay, I appreciate that very much. Let me know how you made out because um, that's tie, and they're all over YouTube when you go in there looking for their advertisements. They're all over there. Uh, yeah, yeah, tie. I remember that, and they sell. Well, they say they sell exotic trees that you really can't get other places. You really can't. I mean, well, you could probably, but I don't. I don't see them. Oh, okay. Your plums have thorns. Um, I have a tree that came from the bad company I'm telling you about. Before they went out of business, they sent the trees out thinking that that it was an order that somebody put in. I didn't put no order in. I stopped dealing with them like 6 months ago. And then one day I'm in the garden, and the mailman walks up and he drops off this elongated box, and in there six trees. And I'm looking at it, I'm saying USA Nursery. I said, wait a minute, I haven't ordered anything from them. So I tried calling them up and they did not answer. I said, the number you have reached is temporarily out of service, whatever. And so there was no way of getting anything done that way. So I asked the callers on, YouTube, the garden people, the garden family, and I asked them, what do you think I should do? And they said, put them in the ground. They all voted, put it in the ground. So I put them in the ground. And they were in really rough shape when they got here. Now they're actually trees. They're trees. And I can't believe that. Wow, they're actually trees. Uh, one is a Santa Rose, and the other one is a Dutch's pear. I don't know what that is, but Dutch's pear, but it is definitely a tree that has thorns on it. It has thorns on it, and that's kind of weird. But all my other pear trees, they don't have any thorns on them. But I didn't know that pear trees grew thorns. You know, but you live and you learn if you do enough research. I mean, there's so many plants out there. Kind of hard to keep up with all of them. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Got to get ready to go out of here and go to work, but I'm going to be back, and I'm going to make certain that we get on the same subject, which is gardening. And gardening is power. It is health. It is spiritual. It is beautiful. Keep your gardens going, folks. I only deal with that's me right there, Stock Bros, or Stock Bro or Stock Brothers. That's what I deal with. All right, good. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.